Good morning, good morning, good morning to everyone out there. And I would like to welcome everyone to this very, very special edition of the Lioness Den. This is our Father's Day edition. We have some truly awesome men here to have a very important conversation. So we just want to welcome everyone in. We want you to come in, enjoy this information. We want you to be edified. We want to build your day, help it be a little more sunny on this beautiful Saturday. So, with, let, with nothing more to say, let's go ahead and get our opening credits and we'll get right to business. All right. We're back. I think we're back. Okay, here we go. We are back. We are back. We are back. And we want to welcome everyone to our Father's Day edition of the Lioness Den. We have some very, very, very impactful, important, influential, whatever words you want to use to describe it. We have some awesome gentlemen here with us. So first and foremost, allow me to introduce myself. I am Alonzo Chapman. If you follow the Lioness Den, you may have seen me once or twice as I tend to chime in on things with mental health and other things, but I am here in a completely different capacity today. I will kind of be the captain of your ship as we are missing our typical Miss Lydia. But that is me. I am Alonzo Chapman, and I'll do a quick round and introduce all the brothers that we have here today. Immediately, right here with me, we have my brother, my younger brother, Guy Chapman, who is with us. We also have Mr. Andre Wilson right down at the bottom. And then we have who appears to have stepped off to get a sip of water. There he is. Mr. James is in the house. He's here with us. He's just working on a little something off to the side. So before we go any further, let's just check in with everyone really quickly. Fellas, how you doing on this Saturday? What's going on with you?
Doing great. Doing great. How y'all doing?
I'm hungry.
Good. Thank you, sir. Both of you. How everybody doing?
I'm extremely hungry, but we're going to get there now.
It's okay. It's okay. We got a cookout today. We got plenty of burgers and dogs and mac and cheese, all that. He gonna be fed. Don't worry about him. He gonna get fed. So, let's jump right into it. This is an important conversation. The conversation about fatherhood. It's 2022, and fatherhood means something different than it meant in 1998 or in 88 when I was born. This has changed over the years. What's expected of a father has changed. I just want to see if we could have just a round robin with all the gentlemen, just to check in and give me a definition for fatherhood, how you describe it in today's words. Anybody want to volunteer? Any volunteers?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I would say presence. I would say presence. I would say presence.
Amen.
Okay. Mr. James, you got some wisdom for us up there? How you describe fatherhood?
Fatherhood is, I would say, just like in my job field, it's tactical. Every situation is definitely different.
That is true.
So you would definitely have to really know your child. And the thing about it is that in knowing your children, like you said, presence, and it definitely takes time. That means you're communicating with them, likes, dislikes, fears, everything like that. But now it's just like, being that now we're in the internet age where everything is accessible. Now you have to almost be a guard dog for everything.
Understood.
And man, let me tell you something. It's a lot of bad information. It's a highway of bad information on the internet. And now you have to actually really parent. Whereas though parenting in our parents' time, they didn't have the distractions of, teachers telling them this and the internet saying, don't listen to your parents and everything like that. Pretty much they had the village mentality. Whereas though now it's almost like everybody's living on an individual island.
I can understand that.
Yeah, so now it's like now, looking out for somebody is like now not minding your business. So it's definitely difficult. It's definitely difficult. You know, I'm also a new grandparent too. So, you know, I do two of them.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? So as I'm watching my kids parent, I'm just like, you know, I'm looking like you're relying too much on these electronic devices. They need you, they need you, they need you. But it's a different way of parenting. So, you know, they said adapt, but I'm looking like, nah, sometimes the old school way works better.
That is true.
Well, let me pull my brother in, because you brought up the new school way of parenting, and my brother, you have 2 toddlers. So what is fatherhood like? You know, you're young, still in your 20s, 2 toddlers. What does that mean nowadays?
I'm 30.
Can't get no sleep.
Oh, wait a minute.
I'm 30 now. Yeah. I got a couple gray hairs now.
Nah, he old now,
put
man.
some respect on my name, sir.
I put some respect. He could put that just for men in his bed so he wouldn't be embarrassed.
He's gonna hate. Nevertheless, first I want to say thank you for having me here. I'm glad to be amongst you two. I think it's a lot I can learn, you know, being a new father and trying to move on. So I hope I get to grow from this experience. For me, both my kids are 4 years old. It was a surprising situation. I'm gonna go into that right now. But the main thing that I found out as far as being a father to date, and I plan on doing going forward, is just the dexterity and just the willingness to pretty much fight for your kids. For me, with my situation, a lot of times, you know, I have no problem with being there for my kids, but a lot of times having 2 different, you know, women to deal with kind of makes it difficult. But for me, at the end of the day, I try not to allow that to be an excuse. You know, I don't allow them to say, you know, oh, you know, they don't need this, or, you know, you don't have to do that. I try to, you know, force my way in, because at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is the relationship between me and that kid. So my main thing is, like you said, you know, the presence, trying to be there. And I know if I be there and I pray on them, you know, the Lord saw me through. You got them.
That brother put together a sermon up in here on the day. Wait a minute, if it looks like we don't got a lot of lights down in the corner, but I believe I want to say Pastor Mark.
They must be talking about me. I can't hear nothing y'all saying.
The bishop is in the house. It's all right. I'm gonna talk some smack to him. We're gonna get back to the bishop. There you go. He found a light switch in his room. We're gonna let him get his headphones together. But that is very poignant. And just from what all you fellas said, I do bring a different perspective from this conversation, as I serve as a teacher and I do a lot of in-home counseling and mentorship, and I run recreation programs and community outreach. So oftentimes I find myself witnessing the effects of not having that presence or that hands-on experience of having that father figure around. So I can definitely testify that everything that you fellas are saying is absolutely accurate. Fatherhood in modern day does require you to be there. It does require you to be that watchdog. And sometimes you're gonna have to be pushy. Like, you know, everybody's not gonna understand, but everybody's not meant to have the vision. So if you have the vision and you are to be that person to, you know, help shepherd towards that vision, it's important that, you know, you guys are pushy and you make sure that things are the way that they need to be. Now, let's see if we can jump right into it. Now, fatherhood modern days comes with a bunch of different things. And we could list it down from, we got baby mamas, we got wives, which are different than baby mamas, but they have their own set of things that you got to deal with the wife. Sometimes we got to balance the wife and the baby mama. Then there's always the ever-present boogeyman of child support. So I got a couple questions. So let me just go ahead and let me let this brother get it off. Let's speak to child support. What is child support right now? Is it valid? Is it needed? Is it a hindrance? Is it something that's going to help the child, or is it something that's ultimately making it harder for the child to develop? Mr. James, can you speak for me a little bit?
Can I start with this one?
Oh, wait a minute. You want to start? Go ahead, bro.
All right, so let's start here. I'm not on child support. Thank you, Lord. let's start there. With that being said, I'm not going. Well, let's start. There's definitely a need for child support. There's a need for it. If someone doesn't want to take care of their kids, or if they decide that they're not going to be a father, there's definitely a need for it. With that being said, I definitely believe there should be reform to the system. With the situation I'm dealing with, my baby mother, she took me down there, and pretty much she kind of played games and kind of wasted a bunch of my time. But as far as the system, they was 100%, with her, whatever you gotta do, they took me down there as many times as they wanted to. When she didn't show up, they said whatever, and then they filed it again and everything else. And it is what it is. But I think the main thing is to make sure that you are doing for your kid, and that's what I try to do. I try to do the most that I can do for my kids. Sometimes you don't have it, and that is what it is. But when I do have it, I'm gonna make sure I provide the best I can do.
Chime in for me, Mr. James. Give me some words.
I really believe that the child support system, how can I say it? It's a weaponized, targeted system.
Mhm.
And the reason why I say that is because a lot of things can actually get done without child support. Now, for those guys who don't pay, sure, put them on child support. But if you have a father or, or a parent that wants to co-parent and everything like that, all you got to do is just discuss with them and go ahead and get everything done. But what I found out is that as far as like with the whole child support system, it's pretty much targeted to keep the men in the cellar for some, for some time. So what you'll, so what you'll do is like, take for instance, right? So child support will tell you that they'll garnish your check, and that it goes, pretty much now. And this whole garnishment thing, when I found out probably about 5 years ago, this garnishment thing, they'll garnish it. Next thing you know, it has to go to a routing number, then in turn go into the individual account. By the time that happens, your next 2 weeks is already like it's ready to come out. So you're not getting credited immediately for that, which means that can, that can throw you in some type of arrears. That'll mess with your driver's license. That'll mess, my job, we have a suitability and everything like that, where we got to make sure our bills are paid and everything like that. And, it affects your child support. It affects your your credit as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what I found out was that you can go online and pay it, even though it's a small fee, or you can go into the kiosk inside the office if it's open now or whatever, and you don't pay the online fee. But when you pay that fee, like immediately online, it's available into that individual account. 48 to 72 hours. So 3 days later, it's actually available. Vice, it almost circling 3 weeks for them to actually get the first check, because that's what happens. It automatically throws you a month into the rears. So even in that, so even in that, as far as like with the whole child support thing, like I said, two responsible adults can sit down and go ahead and discuss what the child needs. Anytime my younger 2 kids, anytime their mother calls me, hey, this, I'm like, okay, when do you need it by?
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that I ask is that you communicate it to me ahead of time.
Amen.
Don't get it to me the day before. You knew you needed, you knew this need. Exactly. So, you knew this need was was a need way before the day before.
Mm-hmm.
Don't sit up there like, you done needed it for a month. You ain't said nothing. I'm sitting up here paying. And I'm not one of those guys to be like, hey, better take it out of child support. Not one of those guys at all. I'm looking like the support is for the food that the child eats. And I'm looking like, people want to technically be honest. Let's just be real. What child eats, gas and electric that they use and everything like that. Like, look, take for instance, I got one that's 680 and another one that's 500. So, everybody be like, God, you pay that? I'm looking like, yeah, I would look like I pay it. I was just like, look, it just made me turn up my hustle a little bit more, but I pay it, no problem. Anything extra is needed. Like I said, just communicate with me. Don't sit up there and say something like I said, day before, and then want to say, oh, see, that's what I'm talking about. You a deadbeat. What?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You can't come here the day before. Everything like that. I'm looking like, come on now. I was just like, look, just like you have a life to live and maintain, I also have the same life to live and maintain. So, I'm just like, look, if anything is needed, let me know the needs. I was like, the ones we can discuss, and that's on a merit program, because some people feel as though that, the child's wants always supersedes the needs. Oh, well, he wants this. I'm looking like, well, I was like, well, it's like my son. I'm looking like, does he deserve this? Has he been doing this housework? Is this going on? Is that going on? So, and also something else I don't like is that when parents weaponize the other parents against them, like they only call you when they do something bad. You know what I'm saying? Oh, no, I'm going to call your father. I'm going to call your mother. No, don't do that. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? You can call them as far as a means of backup when you're trying to enforce something, but when they're not doing what you need them to do or they're not listening, that's not, I'm going to call this, that, and the other. But yeah, that's a whole nother subject. But as far as the actual child support, yeah, the actual child support, I believe the system could be a lot better because for the men, man, I'm going to tell you what, it is an accurate weapon, but for the women, they do not hold them to the same standard.
Amen.
Well, it appears we got the bishop. Bishop, can you hear me now?
Yeah, man.
I'm good now.
There we go. He
I
got a
apologize.
good
I'm
truck
in
of
here.
headphones.
Well, you about to get the
I'm
big
the
boy
only one in here looking like a space coaster with this headset on. But it's good to see all of y'all. I think everybody I've known except Brother James up in the corner. Yes. So your question is about child support, or is it about
support? That's where we are right now.
That's where we.
That's valid.
That's where we at. Is that where we at?
That's just where we at. We got more topics.
Well, let me ask this because, we have no topics. Okay.
We got more topics. That's just one topic.
Well, child support is just the result. Let me say this. I think I'm probably the oldest one here, but child support is the result of the relationship. The relationship is a result of the decisions that we made. And as fathers, what I found, I have 5 children, and I'm a proud dad. I love all my children. I've grown over the years as a dad to appreciate my fatherhood with a new level of appreciation. Never wanted to send any of the children back, but I had to grow into what I thought was the inconvenience of it all. My perspective has changed because despite all of the struggle, the Bible tells us and teaches very strongly that children are heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. And so it has helped me to be able to perform the feat of mature thinking, to isolate the breakage from failed relationship. Obviously, anytime we're at child support, there's been some type of breakdown, some type of failure. And so then as men, we have to own that. Once we own that, then we can zero in on the child. And from my own experience, what I always tell up and coming fathers who may be in the child support system, it's flawed. It's been flawed. It's gotten better now because instead of having to go to a lockbox or to send your money in by mail, now you can do it electronically. And as I was phasing out of child support, those mechanisms were coming into play. But it's gotten more severe now. They can tamper with your license. They can tamper with your ability to really be able to get a job, because it becomes problematic sometimes if you have an over scrutinizing boss. When you get a lien in the payroll office, a wage lien that is because of maybe your arrearage up to about 65 to 75% of your earnings. So it becomes a real learning piece. But somehow, and I guess it may be easier for me to say this now because my 2 oldest children that I was in child support for, they are emancipated. I will say this, that when I got those emancipation letters, as big as I am, in a narrow hallway, I tried to do a somersault because it is the state's best effort to make sure that the child is cared for in light of this broken relationship. And sometimes you are able, through other means, to be able to establish support, but their only objective is to establish that support.
Wait, is he
It's
with us?
true that there is a prejudice in the system. There's a prejudice in the system for us, because the majority of us that are in there because apparently or somehow maybe the mom feels like there's no other way to secure support or the assistance. Now, it's really agonizing if you're really not that type of dude. But in terms of the checks and balances, this is just the fallout. Fatherhood, though, is just a blessing from the Lord. And what I've always said, because you get those struggles, and you would have those same struggles if you had a child like Pastor Philip, if you had children within wedlock. Fatherhood is a challenge, but all of the challenges, the rewards outweigh the challenges. And I tell you, God is good to me. I got a 29-year-old, I got a 26-year-old, and they were before marriage. And then I have a 23 going on 24-year-old. I have a 21 going on 22-year-old boy. And my last boy today is turning 19. They are all bigger than I am. They all look down on the top of my head. And everything. So, but it's the grace of life to be a father. And as we go along, no matter what the challenges that we have, we can put those things into focus. Now, the reason why I will ever look at the pain of early fatherhood or uncommon with non-traditional fatherhood, right? The non-traditional fatherhood, when you're in a broken relationship but you have these children, is that the reason why I would go back to focus on the pain is for the value of others. I have two sons, and they were 9 and 12. And I told them then, we sat down with a piece of paper and a pencil. I gave it to them in figures that they could understand. If you're making $1,000 a week, and you have children that you have to pay child support for, then chances are before you even see that 1,000, there's going to be a big chunk, a large chunk, and I used just typically half, because typically, in the breakdown, and then according to my experience, half was a good median point. 45 to 55%, which is an average of 50%. If you get behind, they go up on you. They do go up on you. It tampers with everything. Your ability to be able to travel out of the country, your ability to be able to drive, your ability to stay free and on the streets, your freedom. And so, I've had all of those woes, the full gamut of those woes, but I wouldn't trade nothing for my journey. And I certainly wouldn't trade anything for my children. They are a blessing. My 29-year-old has blessed me. I'm a grandfather. My 26-year-old is phenomenal. She is phenomenal. She's a double major graduate from Towson State University. She's
I see you.
So you see, so and it made me grateful in looking. So I can be, we don't have to be girlfriend and boyfriend, and I can still appreciate you for what you've done. These mothers have done a reasonably good job in raising these children, and we have to be grateful for that. The agony is that sometimes you would like to have your own more of an impact on the child's life in her formative or his formative days, but because of separation, you're unable to do that. So then the lesson to hand down for the youngsters are: don't engage in irresponsible sex that can lead to fatherhood outside of wedlock. Don't do it. And by all means, if in fact you do, you have to make sure that you are selecting, even when in terms of wedlock, you have to make sure that you're selecting the right mate. You got to think about Is this the person that I want to raise kids with? Is this the person that I want raising my kids? And God is gracious, but we have to look at things really and weigh them in a total balance and be able to hand something, bring the kids in the neighborhood a t-shirt and tell them what's really out there. Tell them what's really out there, because it's agonizing if you really love your seed and you can't really have a day-to-day impact or day-to-day contact. So those are some of the things that to be gleaned from my colorful record. Yeah.
Bishop, can I tell you, you pontificate, if you would. You gives us the full ballot every time you speak, Bishop. You give us the full ballot. Like you was going in. I wanted to grab your attention because here's the thing. We started off, and when I was going through our topics, child support got such a good hit.
That's a good hit. Yes,
that's a real good hit.
So I figured we would kick off there. But if we could shift, and we've all kind of been alluding to it. Parenthood in general is a balance. It is a balance, and my seniors, my elders here have already spoke to how you have to make sure you maintain that balance and you value the mother, but you can't undervalue the father and his position and what he's bringing to the table. And I want to get a chance to bring in Mr. Andre over here for a second, because he is currently the brother who is working with the biblical traditional household right now. And he primarily has things the way that, the Bible say they have it set up. So Andre, can you speak to that balance for us? How is that balance in being a father in that traditional setting?
I think one of the things that I think people fail to realize is, and you asked the question earlier, what does fatherhood mean to me? And the reason why I said presence is because you can be in the house but not present.
Yeah.
You can be in the house, you can be married for years and have no legitimate relationship outside of, I helped to produce a seed.
True.
I have been married for 19 years this year. And
awesome.
One of the things that I think is necessary for me as a father to bring balance within the union of marriage is for my children to understand that just because it looked good on the outside to people don't mean it's good behind closed doors when you're dealing with two imperfect people. I have the privilege, my son is 14, my daughter is 17. I have the privilege of having conversations with my children at this stage in life that I didn't think that I would ever have to have with them. However, because they're in a generation that is unlike the generation, I am 40. So growing up the way I grew up, a lot of people just swept stuff under the rug. Most family stuff didn't come out until probably a funeral, or one of your uncles or your aunts or one of your cousins got drunk, and then everybody knows. It is what it is.
Out at the cookout, you put on.
Oh yeah, definitely cookout with black people cookouts. So I have the assignment to let my children know that as a father, as a husband, everything hasn't always been perfect. Children are oblivious to relationships, especially parental relationships, because the only agenda for a child is to play, eat, sleep, repeat, stay in my pocket, stay in their mama's pocket, repeat. They don't know the intricate details of sometimes mama get on my nerves and sometimes I get on your mother's nerves. My children pretty much know everything about my marriage relationship. They know the intricate details that some people are like, you told your children all of that? Yeah, because I don't want them to ever think that we have this cookie cutter relationship where everything is peaches and cream or has always been.
That's good.
My children know that a little over 7 years ago, I was on my way to divorce court. More than 7 years ago. My mom passed in 2010. So about 12 years ago, thereafter, we were on our way to divorce court. We didn't like each other. Things were terrible. I'm talking about, I'm in the house. She's in the house. Period of 2 years, we very rarely spoke to each other. We, you know, in passing, she's doing her thing, I'm doing my thing. And it was terrible. In the preacher's house, it's terrible. It was terrible. And I think that as a married man, one of the things that I try to stress to my children is you need to get to know a person very, very well. And the person sometimes that you need to get to know very well is yourself. My wife and I've known her since I was 4 years old. We grew up in the same, my grandmother went to the same church. But unfortunately for us, it wasn't until my wife and I hit that very dark period where for 2 years, we really were present, but not together. Present, but not on one accord. Doing her thing, doing my thing, as a result of a lot of pain. It took all of that for me to get to know myself. And then it took all of that for me to look at fatherhood from a different vantage point. And so I think that the balance come in for us at this point in our life. We have children who are teenagers. They know everything that has happened in our marriage. The greatest compliment that I could get from my children recently was, you all have a good marriage. The greatest compliment that I could get from my daughter is, Daddy, I know what to look for in a man. I know what to look for in a husband.
Yes.
Now, this generation, I guess it's Generation Z, they are raw. They will cut straight to the core, no mercy. I know Alonzo, as an educator, you know the intricate details of children. They will check you in a way that'll make you look at yourself. And I appreciate that as a father, having that balance in the household as a husband, to be able to have conversations that didn't think I would have to have, but now having conversations about marriage, relationship, sex, everything, because it's needed. It's necessary because in this generation, not just this generation, just in life, marriage is a lot of work. It's not for the faint of heart. If you think it's just good sex and everything else, it's a lot of work. And sometimes what I'm finding out is being married going on 19 years, the work had to start with me. When I got married, the only thing my grandparents were my pastors was, son, provide food, clothes, and shelter. And make sure y'all have a lot of sex. That's they told me.
Bang, 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 bang.
Like
right. That's what they told me. However, they didn't tell me there would be times where life would happen.
Mhm.
And sometimes I think, and I'll say this in close and lead us, go to the next person so I won't be talking too long. Sometimes it takes failure. So I believe the greatest asset that I serve as a father and as a husband, trying to be a model, imperfect as I am, is that my children can learn from my failures, because my failures give them a perspective.
Yeah.
If they see victory, they can't relate to that. But show them failure as a husband, as a father, and a lot of brothers won't admit.
Yeah.
I've failed as a husband.
Mm-hmm.
I have failed as a father.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to being caught up in my own identity crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And so it took trial and error. Now, as a father, my kids are my world. I bust out crying right now, but I'm a G from the West Side. I'm not going to do this.
The G,
But
that's right. The G.
I could just bust out crying because
Now go on, bust out. Go on, bust out.
my kids mean the world to me. I have two terms for my children. My son is my absolute heart. My daughter's my absolute world.
Mm-hmm.
I need a world to live in, and I need a heart to live with. And
Mhm.
so both of them, I see myself in both of them. And at this stage, I'm working on legacy and I'm working on inheritance, because it's necessary to be present and it's necessary to be very transparent. And I think the new parent is transparent.
Right.
The new parent is transparent. That was profound. That's truth.
It has to be. It has to be. We live in the age of Google, so I mean, I'm not that. I'm older. I'm not that old, but you know, I can remember in the '90s, somebody told you something, you just kind of had to take it off the strength.
Face value. Yeah.
Like I can tell you, I used to be in church, and they would tell you something was in the Bible, and you either had to be committed enough to look it up, or you had to get their word for it. Now. Boy, mess that Bible scripture up. See if they don't hit you with a chat on their Bible app in 38 seconds. Let you know word for word where you wrong.
Not what we said.
Well, not just that, but it's the share. It's the share of the real time, as Andre was addressing, and that is that you know, his level of accountability with his children is phenomenal, and it's necessary. Because whether we really realize it or not, and he alluded to that as well, is that, I mean, we all know, because we've been children. If you've been exposed to a relationship, you feel those vibes. You may not know the market list of details, but you feel those vibes and you catch those brunts. And so the children, we find, absorb much more than we could fathom. And you know, during the course of my failed marriage, and I'm good about it. I've had to go through some healing, some interpersonal healing for it, from it. But in terms of a mainstay, my fatherhood was the thing that kept me kind of grounded. Because I knew that in the not so far distance were my children who were watching and receiving, you know, and even my earlier children at the same time, you know, they have been, you know, on my heart from the very beginning. You know, you read about Abraham, and Abraham had, you know, he had 2 branches, and he prayed about all of his children. So a good father has to pray about his children. He has to pray about his children, but being transparent gives them the best perspective, and it gives them the respect. It gives them the respect, and it gives a great buy-in, and it helps to have a phenomenal wife. You know, hats off to Pastor Philip Andre Wilson. He has a phenomenal wife. She is phenomenal. And I say that because if he did not testify about their internecine struggles, you wouldn't know, you know, because she is Teen Wilson, and so is he. But notwithstanding, he reveals today that there are the challenges and the struggles, you know, of fatherhood. But I thank God, because what we have to realize is that fatherhood comes with an innate grace. You have a grace to be able to reproduce, but you also have a grace, and God will help you supernaturally. And that's my testimony. He will help you supernaturally to do in tight spots, because my parents were married for over half a century. My grandparents were married almost a lifetime, 60 years. So I don't know this breakage stuff. You understand? I don't know this breakage stuff and everything. And, you know, it can make you feel certain ways. And we ain't talking about husbandry today or husbandship today. We talk about fatherhood. But I'm going to tell you that those dynamics, they are interwoven. But I tell anybody, amidst the struggles that you feel and the tug of war that can go on sometimes trying to be a father in this day, in this troublesome day, that if you focus on them children, if you do what's right by them children and have the right heart toward them children, God will not only help you, but he will fight for you.
Alonzo, can I say something real quick?
Chime in, and then I'm gonna try and
shift it. Yeah,
just a taste.
As a father, you were talking about that balance piece. I have had to apologize and ask my children for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Because there have been times I haven't always see this generation. You can't have that mentality. When I say you, I mean us in general. We can't have that mentality like our generation because I said so.
Right.
Don't work no more.
This generation, if they ask why, it's not always because, well, you're being too smart or that girl trying to be sassy. No, it may be a legitimate reason why they want to know.
Yeah, they need to know.
And so I was fortunate enough to have a mother. I didn't come from that, well, because I said so. She raised us. I'm going to tell you why. Now, it might not be the reason or the answer you want, but I'm going to tell you why, because I am trying to develop a parent-child relationship where we learn to communicate. Now, and after I tell you why, then it's because I said so. But it's not going to be because you didn't get an explanation. I have had to apologize to my children. I've had to ask forgiveness from my children because as a parent, just because I said it in a certain manner didn't mean I couldn't have said it a lot better, with a lot more grace, with a lot more compassion. I think sometimes fathers, because we are the authority figure, we feel like, well, I have to rule with an iron hand. I'm fortunate enough at this stage presently because my children come up and talk to me about stuff and tell me stuff that it's like, wow, I didn't know that you would have this conversation with me. I have two children that my son, if you need somebody to help you bury the body and won't nobody know, that's my son.
That's a good son. That's a good son.
If you need somebody to hold your secret sitting there in front of the police being interrogated and won't snitch, that's my daughter. Because that's who they are. And
they got a little G in them.
Yeah. I think the balance come in again, knowing that we have to, as fathers, and I am working at not inflicting a wound so severe that they grow up with issues that they can't recover from. I've seen it happen, and I don't want that indictment and that blood on my hands. I want to be able for my children to know that, yeah, when it's time for me to apologize, because I never want you wounded. I never want you to grow up to have father and daughter issues. As a father, my daughter just went to prom, and that thing wrecked me. But I was able to have a conversation with her to let her know I'm raising my children like this. For my daughter, like I said, I'm raising her because I'm the first man she's building a relationship with. Understanding, yeah, I have a good father, but my father's not a perfect man. He's a good man. A lot of times we demonize fathers looking for perfection. It's like, that dude is a good dude. So I'm raising them to understand again that there's a balance as a father, that I need to continue not so to work for their approval, but to work to honor them just like I want them to honor me.
Yeah, but honor your stewardship, because we realize that we've been given children, we're given the grace to produce them, but God gives us stewardship over them, and so we have to give account for our fatherhood.
So let me, because here's the thing: we're having some good talk here. Necessary talk, definitely.
This ought to be a series.
Yeah, it really, and that's the thing, because I'm like, because here's the thing: because we getting wrapped up in this, and we always have time limits. We have to do everything in order. Like we got to look at increasing this conversation, because there's those out here who need this information. Like I wanted James to put up a link for where brothers can go pay their child support online. I'm sure somebody out there that don't know where to find it. You feel what I'm saying? Things like that it's imperative. People need to hear about the transparency that's needed now for fatherhood. But now with all this good information, and we got time limits. Now we coming up on 45, and if we got good time, maybe we can get back deep again. But I don't want to give people just all steak and potatoes. I want to give them a little dessert. You put a little whipped cream on it sometime, make it taste good. So we all grew up. We watched TV, and the television father was prevalent in everybody's life, regardless of what generation you came from. You had Bill Cosby's, your Uncle Phil's, your James from Good Times. And they always had these moments where the father had an experience with their child where they couldn't even be that hard daddy anymore, and the kid just melted them. You saw it from every different aspect, and there's always a heartwarming, most times funny instance. Can you brothers think about an instance where your kids just gave you that TV dad moment where you just had to chuckle to yourself, or you had to just kind of reminisce on just the beauty or the magic of just having this relationship with your offspring and seeing them develop and grow and having that aha moment, or that moment where they say something to you, Daddy, you told me this, and now you up here old forgetting it. Like, what's that moment? What's that TV dad moment? You gonna start, bro? Give me your TV dad moment.
All right, so
It's from Nickelodeon from this brother. His kids is toddlers. He got Nickelodeon moment.
all right, so
Nick Jr.
so as I told you before, I got 2 kids, 2 different baby mothers. So my one baby mother, we decided we were gonna get a Nintendo Switch for my son because he liked to play the game. So we got it. It took her forever to send it over to the house. She finally sent it over on weekend. So I come back from church and I see my daughter playing with it, and she dropped it on the floor and the screen cracked. And all I could do was laugh because I said, my baby mother gonna kill me. Shit. I said, God damn. I said, I just left it alone, but no. That being said, of course, I didn't say nothing when I dropped her off. And she ain't say nothing. So if ain't nobody that said nothing, then I ain't saying nothing. That's the best way I put it to y'all. Y'all didn't hear this from me.
Brother, I believe she gonna see this recording.
Yeah, she probably
you
watched.
gotta fight happy.
Oh, that mercy.
Oh man. Who else got my next story? Who got my next story?
Oh man, I would say, man, my kids, you know what? Because look, when I say they're counter kids, I just be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, they do things to where as though you just be like, I think I did a simulation of that, you know what I'm saying? So I guess this is version 2 of what I did or whatever like that. They always say kind of like, you know what I'm saying? You kind of get back what you did.
Mm-hmm.
So, so my kids, they didn't like make the common like knucklehead things and everything like that. They actually made like I said, they do smart things, like take for instance, right? My son, he's high functioning autistic. My 13, well, he's 14 years old. Wait a minute. Hey, well, I'm getting old. No, he's gonna be 15 this year. Wow, I'm getting old. So he has this thing to where as though he's not the fighter type, he's the egghead. So rather than fight with his brothers and sisters, he backdoors their computers. So
backdoor.
Man, look, I got a hacker on my hands. So he'll backdoor their computer, shut it down. He'll backdoor their computer and change their password so they can't get on. he's one of those guys. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking like, oh, so you just fight with your brains, huh?
Yeah.
But see, it's just like he tried it with me though, and I was just like, come on, guy. You gotta remember, you're version 2, I'm version 1. You know what I'm saying? I'm the original. So I gave him this phone, and he tried to backdoor it. And every time he tried to do something, my phone would give me a notice. I would call him like, "What you doing?" He's like, "Oh, nothing. I'm playing a game on the phone." I was like, "Nah, you're not playing a game. I know what you're playing." And I was just like, "You gotta remember something. I'm not the other ones. You gotta remember something. I got parameters in place that even if you get past this wall, there's another wall twice as thick, and if you get past that one 3 times as thick."
Oh no!
So I was just like, oh no. I was just like, nah, bro, you ain't gonna do that to me. You ain't gonna do that to me, right? So he kept trying it till eventually he crashed the phone. And I was just like, well, young man was like, you want to be without a phone? And he was just like, I mean, well, Dad, I just wanted more functions. And I said, no. I said, with your knowledge of more functions, what's going to end up happening is you're going to tiptoe into something that you don't need to tiptoe into. And I said, I appreciate your candor, and I appreciate that you actually like that you're not the one that's going to sit up here and fight and be her and everything like that. You're like, okay, I got you. And and I mean, like when his mama called me, guess what he did? He done shut down everybody's computer and everything. I'm like, shut down everybody's computer. I was like, wait a minute, how do you get access to your computers? He was like, oh, he was asked to get on something. I was like, that's what he's supposed to have. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're not supposed to put him on the administrator account. He's supposed to have the kid account. I said, come on, guys. Y'all can't put him on nothing. I said, come on, guys. Y'all know y'all can't put him on nothing. Come on now. And then, but you know what, though? It just constantly makes me laugh because I'm just like, even now he found a way to, because he told me about this charger that he needed for his watch. He goes, never mind, I found a way to charge it. I'm like, how did you find a way to charge a smartwatch? What? So he made this little thing to where as though the two prongs actually go on the back. He wrapped them around. I'm looking like, how did he shoot the schematic? How did he do this? How did he do that? I'm looking like he doesn't have those tools. Obviously, he has the know-how. So he's like, yeah, and you know, I'm just sitting up here like, I got a mad scientist on my hands. So you know what I'm saying? So now it's like I'm especially watchful. I'm especially watchful of his the social media. I'm especially watchful of you know what I'm saying, of his surrounding area. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, look, I tell his mom, hey, check your what's it called? I was like, check your I was like, you know, a matter of fact, change your Wi-Fi password every couple of days. He's like, every couple of days. I said, you got to remember something. You got a mad genius in the house. You cannot sit up there. I was just like, he's the one that's going to keep you on your toes. He's going to keep you thinking mentally. You know, you're sitting up here thinking it's going to be one way. Nah, he's the smart one. He's going to go the other way. And, you know, like I said, the version 2, it was just like with me and my mom. She had realized certain things that the others had did. And then she goes with me. She's like, oh, no, this one's different. Like, I was late for a party and I had, you know what I'm saying? Well, I was late coming home from a party. So she was sitting up waiting for me, but she was in her room. So what happened was that I anticipated me being late. So I scaled the tree, opened up the window, slid on in, came out about 30 minutes later. She's like, when'd you get in the house? And I was like, I've been in the house. And then, so what happened was that she went outside. I was like, a couple days later, she got to going outside. She got to looking on the ground and seeing the pines all on the ground. And she goes, oh, this one's definitely different. Yeah, you know what? Let me go ahead and do something. She got the tree pruned up to like 14 feet. I was like, yeah, I got to come through the front door now. I was like, I guess I didn't use that one, boy. They say, guy, got to where you can't get under, you can't get under, can't get over. You got to come in at the door. So that's what I was doing. I had to come in at the door, and I was just like, and you know what? But from that moment, though, you know, like, you know what I'm saying, from those moments and you know what I'm saying, and you know, it was like something like you said, transparency and apologizing for things. You know, that was one thing that I also did as far as like, you know, because, you know, our parents, our generation was, you know, you do something this, that, and the other, there was wrong. You're hungry? Come on, eat. You know what I'm saying? There was no apology. That was their apology, you know, like you said, because I say so or whatever like that. But I've learned, I was like, we got to be better than our predecessors. That, you know, our children need to know that, you know, that, hey, I make mistakes too. That, you know, I apologize for accusing you, or I apologize for not being what you needed me to be in that moment. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I hope that you can forgive me and that we can move on. A lot of people don't realize apologies really help children grow, and it helps releases a lot of pressure, you know, because children are carried that through life. My parents never apologized for this one thing that I was accused of, and they kept, and you know, they never even brought it up, but I harbored it, and I couldn't bring it up as a what's called, you know what I'm saying, as a like even as an adult, you know, because just out of fear and admiration of my parents. You know what I'm saying, or like, you know what I'm saying, or just out of respect and admiration for my parents, I didn't bring it back up. But knowing that it still haunts them, to as an adult, that moment, you know, I wasn't wrong. You were wrong, and you didn't give me the you know what I'm saying, or like, you know, so you didn't believe me, you didn't give me an apology or anything like that. You just asked me that I want something to eat, want to go to the store, you know, or you know what I'm saying, something like that. So, you know, but transparency is definitely important, and you know what I'm saying, definitely in fatherhood, because we are definitely the ones, like as far as us, I mean, like, look, there's going to be comedic moments with us all the time. I mean, you know what I'm saying, with the moms, you know, they revere moms, they do that all the time. But as far as with us, man, look, we got to have our comedic moments, because it's always the dad is always looked at the stern one, the disciplinarian, this, you know what I'm saying. We got to have our Uncle Phil moments, our what's the dad from Family Matters? We got to have his moments, you know what I'm saying?
Carl Winslow.
Yeah, Carl Winslow, exactly. So, you know what I'm saying, we got to have his moments, you know what I'm saying, to where as though they were funny, but then it came through with a lesson, and it came through with love.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? Because look, they always be like, did you ask your father? You know what I'm saying? We always know the mom to let certain things go. Did you ask your father? You know what I'm saying? And you know what? And I mean, like, and you know, like even I'm in that thing now, because you know, I'm getting a little older, so my two youngest ones, they'll ask me something. I'm like, did you ask your mother? They're like, you know what? I was like, I was like, yeah, good try. I was just like, yeah, I was like, I tell you what, me and your mama talk about it, okay? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, definitely. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's definitely a different, like I said, it's definitely a different time, and our transparency definitely needs to get a lot better. Even with, I mean, like, cause our kids now, even though they're transparent,
Hey James,
huh?
let me jump in. Let me
Go
jump in.
ahead, go ahead.
All right, check this out, because see, this brother done got on the road. He done went from his funny dad moment, made it all the way back to
Exactly, to bring it all back around to everybody funny. I'm telling you.
It's all connected, and it's really good. But here's the thing, fellas. Right now, I got my producer, Miss Chapman. She is looking at me, waving her hand, and we have about 5 minutes. So in our last 5 minutes, I just wanted to give each of you fellas a second just to do a shout out to any dads that you admire or you look up to, you have relationship with, anyone that's passed on, or if you just want to give some information out there for young dads. I want to break it down, and I'm gonna get a timer because we can chop it up, fellas. So I'm gonna say 60 seconds, and I want to give each of you fellas just 60 seconds, real quick, just to give a shout out, send some love out to any dads, whether they're here with us or they already passed on. Bishop Mark, could I start with you?
You sure you can make me last?
You want to make it
I'll take this what's ever left because I was late. So I'll take what's ever's last.
I got you. James, give me a hard 60. Shout outs to dads that you love.
Shout out to my father. He passed away 2020, December 16th. My oldest brother, who I considered a father, he passed 2 weeks after him. So it was a thing that I had both of those guys, loved them, and they taught me a great deal. Shout out to my, shout out to my son Charles, who's a parent now. Shout out to my son Asante, who's a parent now. And they both are doing great and wonderful things. These guys are marching in fatherhood. I love them to death, and I want to wish them a happy Father's Day.
Very cool. I appreciate it. Pastor Wilson. I didn't know you was a pastor down there, Pastor Wilson.
That's what the P stands for.
I thought his name was Philip.
No, the P is for Philip.
See,
P is for Philip.
Wilson, give me a hard 60 seconds. Just send some shout outs to the people.
The P is for Philip Andre. I want to start off by saying thank you for this. This was everything. Continue to do it. First, I want to give a shout out to my grandfather, who has gone on in his sainted memory. I want to give a shout out to my dad, Philip Walter Wilson. I am because of who he is, and to every father who is deserving of the honor, I give a shout out to you all. Thank you.
Because see, that brother left 20 seconds on the clock. Here we go, brother. I got 1 minute for you, brother. Send out all your Father's Day shout outs.
Got you. All right, so first I want to give a shout out to Abraham, shout out to Jacob, Joseph, those 12 tribes out there, you know how they do. Shout out to 1, 2, Thug Life.
Thank you, brother.
But no, on a serious note, I do want to give a shout out to my father, who told me a lot. I want to give a shout out to my father. He told me a lot of what not to do. I do want to give a shout out to Bishop Mark. Bishop Mark is holding down over there. Keep on praying for me.
Yes, sir.
Bishop, are you gonna be able to gather yourself?
Yes.
Bishop, I want you to gather yourself. I give you.
Yes. Okay. I'm sorry. I want to give a shout out to my dad, who left us in September of 2007. He was 83 years old. I didn't get the grace that he has because he was just beginning the thinning ball. But he showed me with an 8th grade education and the absence of a father since 5 years old, how to be a dad over and against any and every challenge. My grandfather, my maternal grandfather, Bishop William S. Barnes, everybody knows that story. And I'm grateful to God to have been with those guys to the last breath. I'm grateful for all of the village of older brothers. I'm the baby boy of a bunch of kids.
10 seconds, Bishop.
Three older girls. So all of the culture and the village and the family that have showed me elements of fatherhood that I've been able to glean from. And for all of my seniors and my mentors now, I'm just thankful, and happy Father's Day to everyone.
Bishop, I gotta say, you was tight on that 60 seconds, Bishop.
Yes,
I
sir.
know it was hard for you.
Well, I had to laugh because your brother and they got y'all in the same studio. That's not fair.
Well, brothers, it's been an absolute joy having this conversation with you.
And happy Father's Day to all of the fathers on this panel.
Happy Father's Day, brothers.
Same to you all.
Say to all
Yes,
of
sir.
you, Miss Lydia is giving me the wave, letting me know that she'll be contacting you all so we can do this again.
Yes.
And just really quickly,
Most definitely.
I bought this one here from the Bishop's collection just for the Father's Day live. I bust out one of his hats just so he could sit here with me and my brother while we had this conversation about
Yes,
Father's
sir.
Day. So just a quick shout out to the Bishop with the impeccable style. But for everybody that's been here, we have had an awesome time. We are exactly 25 seconds over time right now. So we're going to get on out of here. Everybody wave at the people that's looking at us live. We appreciate y'all. We'll be back. Sister, go ahead, run.